test. Hello, human. That's funny. I like that. Thanks for joining, if you're here. And if you're not here, then, you know, there's no thanks for you. I'm going to continue watching my debate with Josh and Artemis from where I left off in the last stream. So if you were here last time, we got to about the bit where Josh said that social constructs aren't facts. And I told him that money is a social construct. So what the fuck are you talking about? You'll have to excuse my voice. I'm still recovering from a cold, like 3 weeks later. It's not ideal. What was I going to say? Oh, and so there were a couple of things that happened since then. First of all, I managed to get the strike taken down from my channel, because what happened is after the debate, Josh and Artemis claimed a copyright strike on my channel because I uploaded the entirety of the debate, which I thought was something that I was allowed to do. I thought that we'd agreed that that was a thing. Apparently it was a miscommunication. But instead of, you know, being like, hey, super, my man, or my person, sorry, I don't mean to assume genders. Did I just assume your gender? It's literally something I do all the time. I try to start off interactions with people in a gender neutral place. But anyway, what was I saying? So yeah, they, instead of, you know, reaching out to me like, you know, like a reasonable adult, they took the petty option and claimed copyright strike on my channel. I got a strike on my channel. So I contacted them and said, yo, can you not do that? And they said, but we said that you, blah, 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 blah. And I went, yeah, but, you know, you could have just asked me and I would have taken the video down. Literally all you needed to do was be like, hey, could you not do that? And I would have been like, oh, sorry, I thought we agreed on the other thing. That's fine. I'll get rid of it. I would have done that. But they had to be petty and childish, and they got a strike on my channel. But luckily we came to an agreement and they were able to get rid of the strike from my channel. So I no longer have a strike on my channel. So that's good. The other thing is they've gone ahead and unlisted the stream. I don't know why, but it's kind of funny in conjunction with them trying to get, you know, them getting rid of my stream. It just seems like they don't want anyone to see it. Which is funny. It's funny to me. They kind of take what you will from that. Draw your own conclusions. But that doesn't mean that I can't watch the recording that I made myself and critique my performance and offer some further context and rebuttal to the things that they say. And also, I kind of wanted to watch back anyway because I wanted to make to take some clips from the thing, because I've been doing that. I've been taking like 1 minute clips or whatever and putting them on my social media and things like that. So, strap yourselves in. Let's go ahead and watch the stream. I tweeted about the stream, so hopefully some other people join us. But for now, let's go ahead. This is approximately where we stopped last time. So your eyes can't always tell. So yeah, so this is the bit where they say They can always tell if someone's trans or not just by looking, because the eyes don't lie. And I point to the the thread on my Twitter page, kind of documenting. Oh, I forgot to change my thingy. Kind of documenting the transphobes not being able to tell when a person is trans. That's not the right friggin' display. What's going on here? Sorry, technical difficulties. Here we go. One thing I noticed last time when I was watching the stream, watching the video back, was that the balance between my voice and the actual video playback was really, really out. Like, my voice is really loud compared to what is happening on there. So if I've tried to mitigate that now, but if that's still an issue in the chat, could you let me know if I need to turn up the video? That'd be great. Anyway, let's keep watching. That disproves what you're saying.
Yeah, but I can guarantee you this: if you put all of those photos and did a worldwide poll, I think most people would agree that they are women.
But that's got nothing to do with biology. That's to do with social, because people from different countries are going to have different standards on what on gender constructs and presentation and all those kinds of things.
To me, that's
what gender is. So this is to me just saying, because Josh's counterpoint to my thread was that if you put up those photos worldwide and made a poll, then people would generally be able to figure out male versus female. First of all, that the kind of the point of the thread itself is to point out how transphobes themselves can't always tell, because there's this a buzz phrase that they use, this "we can always tell," to sort of say that it's self-evident that who's trans and who's not. My claim is not that no one's able to tell. My claim is that transphobes never can always tell. So even if one or two people who are transphobes are like, they can't tell, that proves my point. It's not to say that everybody is going to be able to tell 100% of the time, or the other thing around. So his example is kind of irrelevant. And second of all, what was he going to? There was something else I wanted to say about that. Can't remember. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but to me, it feels like you're overcomplicating a very simple issue, and this is the common thing.
It's not simple. It's not
simple.
But
it is.
And it is.
But it is simple.
How is human biology? This is another thing that why the hell are there McDonald's people here? I don't know what that means. This is another thing that frustrates me, because it's kind of like, it really is. The whole thing that I was getting at in this particular debate was that we are coming from two very different worldviews here. And I think this point here kind of gets to the fundamental difference in our worldviews, is that Josh and Artemis here, they think the world is a simple place. They think that things can be easily defined and put into boxes. I don't know if they're religious or not, but it reminds me of a religious mindset where things are easily defined and put into clear boxes and that sort of stuff like that. I'm coming from a place, and I also I kind of point out that that's the sort of mindset that you have when you're in primary school. You learn about the world in a very simple way, so that using simple concepts, so that you can start to grasp difficult concepts as a child, as a developing brain. But as you learn more, and as you grow, and as your brain develops, and as you come to understand, you start to kind of understand the world in more complex terms. And that's where I think I'm at. I obviously I don't think I understand the world completely, but I understand that the world is a complex place. I understand that the reality is a complex thing, and I understand that human biology and identity are incredibly complex things. the idea that, and I say this a lot of the time as well, the idea that human biology and identity can be boiled down to a simple binary is just, it's ludicrous to me. It makes absolutely no sense. Like it just doesn't match with reality. And that's what I'm trying to get at here. An identity is simple. I was
creating a very simple issue, and this is the common thing.
It's not simple. It's not simple.
But it is.
And it is.
But it is simple.
How is human biology and identity a simple thing?
So
it's not.
In biology, there's only two, a man and a woman.
So even saying that, I don't understand how someone can say that. In biology, like I ask her about how biology is simple, and she goes, in biology, it's simple. There's a man and a woman. Biology is not simple. It's just not. Like even in high school, like when I stopped taking biology because it was fucking difficult and complex and messy. But their worldview is that of like a 10-year-old. It's bizarre to me.
No, and we both have different functions, different body structures. Intersex is a thing.
So I bring up intersex here because, I mean, again, the issue is very complex and, can encompass a wide spectrum of things. But I bring up intersex here to just add one more little complexity to the argument, right? Because they're saying that there's only two. There's man and woman. And then, okay, well, no, but there's also intersex. And then you could go on to mention other differing kinds of biological things, different chromosomal makeups, things like this. They would say, and then I'm pretty sure that they do say, that those are, defects or whatever. They're, what's the word? They're abnormal. But I don't really think that disproves that biology is complex or that those things exist. They still exist, and kind of shows you that sex is not a binary because these other things besides these two things exist. It's just kind of silly.
Different organs, not different organs. I mean, like different size organs.
Oh, this cracks me up. Men and women. The first thing she goes to. The first thing she goes to talk about when talking about the complexity. Oh, sorry. When talking about the simplicity of the binary, the sex binary, is that men and women have different size organs. Oh, geez. Because, okay, there's potentially a nuanced point to be made about the size of male and female organs, but the fact that they go to this and they say it in this really weird, way with no particular nuance or kind of understanding behind what they're saying, just shows that they don't understand what they're saying. They're just repeating buzz phrases. I mean, they're probably thinking of lung size, lung capacity, maybe. They go on to talk about bone density and things like that. It's normal transphobic buzzword shit that they've learned from someone else with no understanding of what it actually means, and are just repeating those things.
There's
intersex is a thing. Here we go.
Different organs, not different organs. I mean, different size organs. Obviously, we have the same, but there's fundamental differences that you cannot change.
I mean,
no matter what you do, if you do surgery. Oh, you muted yourself.
Oh shit! That's when I accidentally muted myself. So she's saying that there's fundamental differences between men and women that you can't change. My point that I tried to bring up even though I was being muted, and I don't know if we get back to it, but real quick, is that, yeah, you can change those things. You can, having HRT, hormone replacement therapy, you can, trans women can grow breasts. There's surgeries that you can get done. And they deny that these surgeries are changing anything, which I think is kind of weird. Because this is the tricky thing, is because we are talking about a complex thing, and we're talking about multiple different things, and so sex for them is binary, but it has all these different factors. So, the sex is made up of the size of your organs, the genitals, you have the chromosomes, the gametes, and all these kinds of things. If that's the case, if you change any one of those things, you've changed your sex. Maybe you haven't changed it from female to male or male to female, but you have changed your sex because they are saying that you are that these things define what your sex is. Thinking about it as a binary, that doesn't make any sense. But thinking about it in a more complex, nuanced sense, as I am doing, that makes total sense. But this is why it's like they have an internal incongruence between their beliefs, as they're saying that it's a binary, but they're also saying that it has all these different factors. That doesn't make any sense. And so when when I change, attack the complex bit that they're talking about, they just revert back to the binary thing and say, oh, well, they haven't changed to a man or a woman. So it's very confusing and weird. Okay, so I've muted myself here. Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. I'll just fast forward. Let me ask you.
I'm not sure what's going on.
I don't know what you pressed.
What about now?
Oh,
there we go.
Sorry. I accidentally unplugged my microphone and it went,
Okay, I was like.
Let me ask you a question. If okay, so
an Adam's apple, that's true. But you can kind of actually develop one if you're taking testosterone.
So she just admits it right there. Like, she literally just admitted that you could change your sex because you could develop an Adam's apple. That's like, how does she let those words come out of her mouth and then maintain the same belief? Because she obviously just it was just a little reaction to the thing. I think she's reading a comment here. Someone in the comments said something about an Adam's apple, about being able to see an Adam's apple or something like that. And then she goes, oh yeah, but you can develop an Adam's apple if you have hormones. She just admits that you can change your sex. Okay, so you just admitted that sex can change. There you go.
No, I was reading a comment.
Okay.
Adam's apple.
Yeah. So so she just dismisses that. No. I was reading a comment. Adam's apple. Like, I don't understand how those words can come out of your mouth and then you continue on with your life without at least engaging in some minor self-reflection. Like, what was it in my belief system that made my little reaction there say that thing? Why? Maybe this, it's just bizarre to me. It's bizarre. This whole thing is just it's bonkers. Excuse me, I'm just checking on my Twitter because I want other people to come and hang out. Okay. All right, continuing on. Just to take score here. Artemis has admitted that sex can change, and Josh has admitted or has said that social constructs aren't facts. Say a woman
sex cannot change. That's the point.
You've got secondary sex characteristics, right? You've got breasts, you've got testes, those kinds of things. Those can change with hormone replacement therapy because the hormones are the things that tell the body what to do to create these different characteristics. Is that not changing your sex?
No.
Why?
No.
Because when you die and somebody digs up your bones,
that's ridiculous.
We'll be able to tell.
Irrelevant.
No,
that's completely irrelevant. No, it's not.
But it's not irrelevant.
I mean, like they just default back to the fucking, when someone digs up your bones in 1,000 years, they'll be able to tell what fucking sex you are. It's like talking to a fucking AI robot that has been trained on transphobia. That's what it is. It's like When I say trained on transphobia, I mean trained on like transphobic talking points. Like it's been trained on listening to a Matt Walsh podcast and the Twitter feed of a whole bunch of transphobes. And this also, I brought this up last time as well, is we're talking about one thing, a very specific thing, and I'm asking a question about why these things can change. Like I ask about how your secondary sex characteristics can be changed using hormone replacement therapy, and I say that is changing your sex, and they say no, and I say why, and they say because when your bones are dug up in 1,000 years, people will know what your sex is. That's just, it's going off on a weird tangent. It's got nothing to do with the thing that we're talking about here. I've asked a very specific question, and they respond with this bizarre left-hand turn. It's frustrating.
That just shows that you cannot change who you fundamentally are down to your bones and your DNA.
Why should my bones define who I am?
Yeah, but we're talking about sex.
This.
Yeah, I know, but you guys are. So we're trying. I'm trying to get, and this is the again. So I mean, this whole thing is me trying to get them to understand the difference between gender and sex as well. So in the process of like talking about or discussing sex and what the nuances of it are, I'm also trying to get at the fact that is different from the social construct of gender. And this is where it comes back to here, but you to see the difference between sex and gender.
No,
of course. Look. We completely kind of agree with what you're saying here, right?
No, they don't. This is funny. I mean, this as well is a bizarre thing that they started the whole debate by saying, oh, we're not transphobes. We agree that trans people should exist or that trans people should have rights or whatever. We just want fairness in women's sports, and we want them to leave the kids alone, which is just transphobic nonsense. And now he's doing this thing of, oh yeah, no, but we actually agree on. No, I'm sorry, Josh, but we don't agree. And it's pretty obvious if you listen to any of this nonsense.
So sex cannot be changed, but if you're going by gender, which to us just means your personality, okay?
Yeah.
How
you feel.
You can feel something, okay, but that's not a fact. It's just how you feel and what you want to live your life by.
Josh doesn't seem to understand what a fact is as well. Like I said, I made this document of what the things these people don't understand, and like Josh doesn't know what a fact is. First of all, why are your feelings not facts? That's ridiculous. And second of all, gender is not just your personality. And I think I go on to explain this by reading from an actual authority on gender and sex.
Okay.
Which is fine as an adult.
Which is completely fine. But when you get down to the bones of it, when you get down to the fundamental truth, there's only two, male or female.
Do you know what bimodal? See, it's these words. It's the use of this kind of language that makes me think that they're religious. But also, even if they're not religious, it's a very religious way of thinking, which is funny to me because they were accusing me of being a cultist often. But to say that there is a fundamental truth, that is a very religious statement. What do you mean by fundamental truth? I mean, I think what they're saying is that that I mean they're trying to imply that sex is immutable, because it's fundamental to a person's makeup or something. But that just doesn't comport with reality. I'm sorry. I mean, I've said it 5 different ways already. It's just silly. But it is interesting to me that they use this kind of religious language. Distribution is. Oh,
but when you get down to the bones of it, when you get down to the fundamental truth, there's only two, male or female.
Do you know what bimodal distribution is?
No.
No.
Bimodal distribution is what sex actually is and how it's expressed in humans. There's a binary is two things, right? If there was a binary, every single woman would look the same and every single man would look the same. That's what a binary is. Bimodal distribution is a hump and then a bit of a down, and then it's like two bell curves, kind of. Two humps. And so you've got this like central I'm trying to put it on the thing. You got two central bits, which are kind of like the very, very, the most what's the word? Expressed things within sex. And then you've got this fall off that kind of goes into the middle where you get like intersex characteristics and things like that, and then up to men. So it's not a binary. It's expressed in this kind of
it's a spectrum.
It's a spectrum.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah. It's a spectrum. So they're completely unwilling to even entertain the idea that A, that they're wrong, and B, that there might be these differing kinds of things. Because I mean, I could understand it if they I present them with a lot of different things, with different evidences and statistics and things like that, but they're unwilling to even engage with those. I mean, you see Josh's face right here. He's unwilling to engage even with this idea of a bimodal distribution, which is what actual scientists understand sex to be. He's just like, nah, that's not, sorry, not a thing. But that's the thing that happens throughout this whole thing. Any of the evidences or the statistics or anything that I present them with, excuse me, and then like right at the end of the debate, I'm like, I want to give you guys some things to read. Like I wanted to send them some of these sources and things like that, because a lot of the time they were complaining that, oh no, we don't have time to read these things during this debate or whatever. But they could go ahead and read the stuff afterwards and do a little bit of research and things like that. But they're unwilling to do any of that. They've got their opinion, they've got their beliefs, and they're sticking to it. There's no even entertaining of the idea that they might be able to change their beliefs, which is the kind of the root of a reasonable person. Being able, that my beliefs are, what's the word? Tentative. They are informed by research and by statistics and by science and those sorts of things, but they can change. If someone presents me with good evidence for things, my beliefs will change. These guys aren't like that. They have their beliefs and they're sticking to it, and that is a very religious, cult-like way of thinking. So the point is that it's not as simple as you guys are making it out to be.
It is simple.
Actual science does not agree with you. Because from the first thing that I said to you, the first thing I asked you about was gender, and you said that you don't experience gender. And so for me, that says to me, for what that says to me, is that you are thinking about your own personal experience and projecting that out, rather than looking at what the reality is, what the science is. Because, do you not agree that the science is the important thing? Well, so that, okay, so, this is the thing, they just deny this sort of stuff as well. Because, but that is the first thing that they go to when I bring up gender is, I don't experience gender, so it's not a thing. And then I point that out, and Josh is like, no, that's not, that's not the reason that I... So he recognizes that is bad reasoning, but he continues to do it anyway. It's weird. Should we not be looking?
Science is biology.
Of course, but this is the thing.
But so I've shown you science. I've shown you what the actual scientists.
But gender is how you feel and how you.
What's wrong with how you feel?
Nothing. Hold on. Gender is more like how you feel and how you look at yourself. But the way others view you might be different than that. However,
it is also relevant to the social construction of what people think of as gender. It is relevant to systems and oppression as well.
Yeah, but people can't lie to themselves when they can clearly see,
for example,
if you were a man, you're a man, and I can.
Hi, Fire Phoenix. Thanks for joining. No, it's kind of funny to me that I doubt that. Maybe they will, but I think that they'll probably just stick to talking to people who agree with them.
Clearly see that, but if you tell me, no, I'm actually a woman, I can see that you're a man.
I'm non-binary, so I don't really.
So this is the first.
Like, for example, so this is the first time I bring up the fact that I'm non-binary because in the last stream, like I was talking about how they were continually misgendering me, calling me a man, and he, and all this sort of stuff. But they were joking about the country thing, the fact that they called me Australian, but I'm New Zealander. Which is funny to me. But so I purposefully didn't be like, oh, actually, no, I'm non-binary. But at this point, I do actually bring that up.
If you were a man, like you're a man, and I can clearly see that. But if you tell me, no, I'm actually a woman, I can see that you're a man.
I'm non-binary, so I don't really accept the man thing. But besides, so there you go. I mean, I think the reason I brought this up is because it's the whole we can always tell thing. Well, no, you obviously can't tell that I'm non-binary, so like that.
It's an example. I don't really.
I was gonna give you an example. For example, if you've got how gender is relevant to society, 1 out of 4 transgender women are assaulted. You've got a 1 in 4 chance of being assaulted in a bathroom. That's a trans person because of their gender. That is not the same statistic for cis men. So in reality, the gender of these people has a real effect on that person's experience. So you've got, I mean, that to me just kind of says they're not the same thing. Cis men and trans people are 2 completely different things because they have different experiences within society. One of them is assaulted at a 1 to 4 rate within a bathroom, and one is not.
I think this is a very smart point. I think this is a very smart point. Sorry to toot my own horn here, but I mean, this is where I start to bring up statistics as well, and they start to deny that statistics are relevant. But I think this is a good point. If trans women and cis men are the same, which is what they believe, they think that trans women are men. That they are the same thing. If they were the same thing, there would be no statistical difference between those 2 categories' experiences. But we do see a significant statistical difference between the experiences of trans women and cis men. Well, I mean, this was just one statistic, but I mean, you could look up and you could find other experiential statistical differences between the way that trans women and cis men experience society and reality. That wouldn't be the case if they were the same thing. And I can't remember how they react to this.
I don't.
They short circuit. They don't know what to say to it, and they're like, okay.
No.
I mean,
how does that not make sense to you?
No, it's not that it doesn't make sense, but I mean, if you're talking about a trans woman, it's because they are dressing and acting like a woman going into the women's washroom.
Yep.
Well, so she just automatically defaults to victim blaming here. She's trying to explain away why trans women are assaulted in bathrooms, which is not the point of why I brought up the statistic. I already explained what the point was, but she just defaults here to victim blaming, saying, "Oh, they're dressing up as women, so they're going to be assaulted in bathrooms."
But now there also is a different statistic from cisgender women. So you've got cisgender women.
A woman, I don't agree with trans women in the bathrooms that I have.
Well, that's irrelevant to what I'm saying right now.
But you're mentioning the bathroom thing,
yeah,
which
I'm
actually
talking about
think
a statistical.
Women also get assaulted by trans women in the bathroom.
I'm talking about a statistical fact here that.
Hi, welcome to the stream. Gender criticals are adult human failures. That's hilarious. I love that. This is another example of that thing that I was talking about, where we're talking about one thing and they pivot to this other thing. And honestly, I think it's because they don't. I think it's a combination of them not understanding stuff and also just not being able to articulate their point of view in a reasonable way. Like I'm presenting them with evidence that trans women and cis men aren't the same thing, and they hear the word that they don't. First of all, they don't have any response to that because they just go,
you see them, they short-circuited, and then they pivot to this other thing because they heard the word bathroom, so they're like, bathroom, and she goes, oh well, actually I'm afraid of trans women in bathrooms, so it's nonsense. It's got nothing to do with what we're talking about. I don't care what your experience right now as a transphobe, as someone who is afraid of trans people for no good reason, is irrelevant to what I'm saying right now. It's bizarre. 1 in 4 if you are a trans woman, you've got a 1 in 4 chance of being assaulted in the bathroom. That is a statistical fact. If you are a cis man, which you guys are saying is the same thing, you don't have that chance. So how are trans women and cis men the same when we're talking about society and how they're going through? No. We're talking about gender, first of all, because transgender, and we're talking about how that interacts with society. How so this is the thing is this is me trying to explain the difference between sex and gender and pointing out that a person's gender, a societal social construct, is the thing that interacts with society at large, with societal structures. It's not their sex that does this, because if it was their sex, then there would be no statistical difference between the experiences of trans women and cis men. But there is. It's because their gender is different, and it's interacting with society in wildly different ways. That's why that's why I think this is a really smart point, is because it shows you how sex and gender are two different things, and it shows you how that gender interacts with society and produces two different statistical experiential outcomes. I think that's a very concise point. Your gender, because when a person is assaulted in a bathroom, the person assaulting them is not going, oh, this person is look at their biology, I'm going to assault them. If they were, the statistics. Oh, hold on, let me finish. The statistics of cisgender women and trans women would be the same. There would be no difference. If trans women and cis men were the same, the statistic would be the same, but they are different. So how do you explain that?
What bathrooms are you talking about? So you said,
or like what's the
I'll bring up the statistic.
What's like the poll you're talking about, and what's the bathroom you're talking about? Because about
is it a men's washroom or a women's
washroom? A women's.
I'll bring up the ones that I've. So here they're attempting to critique the validity of the statistic by wondering about wondering about which kind of bathroom it is or things like that. It's a very shallow critique of the statistic. And look, I acknowledge that it can be difficult if I've presented these statistics and they don't have it to look at. But in the end, they were unwilling for me to even, like I said, that I would send these things to them, but they were absolutely unwilling to engage with that either. They didn't want to. Like if I said, I was trying to say to them multiple times, I will send you this stuff, and they were like, no. So it's kind of whether this is me being unfair or not is kind of irrelevant, because they're still just completely unwilling to engage at all. That I've got here.
Because if there's a man, okay, if there's a trans woman, aka a man, going into a female bathroom, I wouldn't be surprised if they got assaulted.
So here again, it's just victim blaming, and also just trying to explain away the statistic by, it's not relevant to the point, is what I'm getting at. The reason. The reason for why trans women are getting assaulted in bathrooms is irrelevant to the point I'm trying to make with the statistic, and it also is just gross. Like, why are you saying, why are you victim blaming these these assaults? Fucking and they like to call me a misogynist.
because women feel vulnerable.
Okay, so this is
and people are protective.
Okay, so this is a study called Gender Identity, Non-Discrimination Laws in Public Accommodations, a review of evidence regarding to safety and privacy in public bathrooms, locker rooms, and changing rooms. So it's talking about changing rooms, bathrooms, and locker rooms. And you can read. Well, so I'm just reading you. I'm reading you a little bit. I'll read you a little bit from the conclusion, because it basically says that the hype is overhyped. There is no risk. And that if you are I think I kind of made a mistake here, because I was reading from the wrong thing. Excuse me. I'll bring up the thing, because it's different. I hadn't formatted my, excuse me, a mouthful of pastry. I hadn't formatted my my document in a way that was easy to access. Assess. No, access. It was easy to access the things that I wanted to quickly, especially when I'm like, in the middle of the debate and trying to find the thing that I was specifically looking for. So I had, if we have a look here, my bathroom. Yeah, I think this is the one. Sexual violence perpetrated by cis men against girls, bathrooms. Locker restrictions, 1 in 4. So I'm trying to find the one that was actually the 1 in 4 statistic that I was talking about. Impact of bathroom discrimination. Okay, so that one is to do with the mental health of transgender and non-binary youth and how bathroom discrimination affects them. So that's not what we're talking about. This is the thing, is like if I was doing this in the middle of the debate, it would be not great. Here we go. Background results. Okay, pediatrics should be aware that sexual assault is highly prevalent in transgender and non-binary youth, and that restrictive school restroom and locker room policies may be associated with risk. So having these restrictive policies, it looks like this is to do with schools. So, I mean, having the restrictive policies, I think, it's perpetuating a certain stereotype about transgender people, and perpetuating transphobia within the school, which will, result in higher assaults and things like that, because, kids are stupid, and they'll be going, trying to prevent, because transgender kids are going to be bullied at higher rates anyway, and then there's going to be, and this happened recently. Nick's the non-binary child in Oklahoma, I want to say it was, beaten to death by transphobic bullies, and these restrictive bathroom thingamajiggies contribute to that. So, but that's still not the one I was looking for. Detrans cult acceptance. I don't know where it is. Is it this one? No, see, that was the one that I bought up. I have to look for it another time. But there was one that said something to do with 1 in 4 trans people being assaulted. It's not this, is it? Well, here it says of transgender people, 1 in 2 are sexually assaulted during their lifetime. So, and I bring up this statistic a little later as well. But what I'm getting at is it's difficult to find these things on the fly like that. I really should have organized my document a little bit nicer. I'm just going to tweet again because I'll see if there's anyone else who wants to join us. Da-da-da-dee-dee-dee. Send a tweet to the thingamajig. Where are we? No, I want this. Copy that. Live streaming right now. Come and hang out. There we go. Okie dokie. Right, what else we got? Tell your friends, tell your wife. What are they saying here? Oh, and so they're this is just them victim blaming transgender person. Maybe this isn't the one. Opponents of gender identity non-discrimination laws in public accommodations. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. Is I made a mistake here, is that I didn't bring up the right thing, and I started reading off from the study, which is not not relevant, but just not the one I was hoping for. Have largely cited fear of safety and privacy violations in public restrooms, locker rooms, and change rooms. If such laws are passed, while proponents have argued that the laws do not increase danger or harm in such a space, to date, no evidence has been gathered to empirically test the hypothesized effect of these dates. This is the first study to collect public records and analytically compare the safety of public restrooms, locker rooms, and changing rooms in relation to these non-discrimination laws. The results show that the passage of such non-discrimination laws do not relate to the number or frequency of criminal incidents within these spaces. So that's a study that shows that passing non-discrimination laws in these areas have no effect on any kind of safety. So people see, this wasn't great of me. I was kind of reading on the fly, so I wasn't super familiar with what I was actually reading, and so I was kind of processing it as I was saying it as well, which you can kind of tell. But then the conclusion that I'm bringing up is kind of irrelevant to what we were talking about. This is to say that the passage of non-discrimination laws to do with trans people in bathrooms. So bathroom laws does not affect the rate of assaults or whatever in bathrooms. I need to do some more digging, but from what I understand, there's just no threat to women in bathrooms. I mean, it really, I think this statistic proves it the most. I kept bringing this one up. That sexual violence perpetrated by cis men against girls and women occurs at epidemic rates. The most severe of this violence is towards trans girls and women, and the very population being denied bathroom access, purportedly in order to protect cis girls and women from sexual predators. But public restrooms are not particularly dangerous places. Copious research reveals the frequency and circumstances under which gender-based violence typically occurs. 1 in 5 cis women will be raped at some point in their life, compared to 1 in 71 cis men. So a vastly different, rate. Of trans people, 1 in 2 will be sexually assaulted during their lifetime, which is also likely to be shorter than the average cis person's, as average life expectancy of transgender people is 31 years. That's because of transphobia, by the way. It's not because of some sort of weird adherence to trans people. Of rape and sexual assault victims, 91% are women. So, yes, women are assaulted at a very, very, very high rate. In 1 out of 8 cases of rape, 1 out of 8, 8 out of 10 cases of rape, the victim knows the person who sexually assaulted them. So this just shows that the bathroom thing is irrelevant. It's a complete red herring, because the people that are perpetuating, that are committing the assaults and rapes against cisgender women are people that know them. Of people sexually abusing children, 34% of family members, 96% of who are cis men. So and this is what's frustrating about, this is kind of what's sort of frustrating about what's happening here, is because that, to me, and I think to any reasonable person, says that the danger to cisgender women, the people that these two are supposedly really concerned about protecting, the real danger to them is cisgender men. And cisgender men who they already know. So, statistically, Josh is more likely to sexually assault Artemis than a random trans person in a bathroom. That's just a statistical fact. So Artemis, maybe you need to, you know. But in these people's brains, cis men and trans women are the same thing. They're not, but in their brain, they are the same thing. So that means that trans women are a risk to cisgender women. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense because it's got no basis in reality. All it's based on is their own personal bigotries. But that's where we are. So, you know, I bring up this point, but then it goes back to them just not seeing the difference between cis men and transgender women. So we just kind of go around in circles, and it's frustrating. Excuse me.
So you personally believe then, based off that you've just read, that
no, there's multiple studies. I mean, you can look. I mean, I've got like 3 or 4 different ones here. The one that I was talking about that had to do with people being assaulted in bathrooms, sexual violence perpetrated by cis men. So here you go. This is cis men against girls and women.
Let's just call it. Let's just call it.
It's cis men because this is not trans. So here's the thing: is they just refuse to even. It's sometimes you need to, when you're talking to other people, is you need to put. I've heard someone else say this before. It's like take off your own ideological hat and put on the other person's ideological hat, so that you can understand their point of view, and so that you can actually have a reasonable conversation. But these two are so unwilling to do that. Like they, you know, I'm talking about a thing, and they're just completely unwilling to engage with my point of view, or with anything that I say, really. And so I say, you know, cisgender, and Josh is just like, you know, men. They're men. We should just say men. And I went, well, no, that's not what we're talking about here. We need to use the proper terms. Gender men. This is not transgender woman.
It's just a man.
It's just a man.
No, that's not. See, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. If we can't agree,
I can't agree
on the facts,
you've misgendered me.
How? So there, yeah. I mean, like I just say here, this is getting back to the reason why I wanted to do all this stuff, because they get annoyed later on because I, you know, wouldn't get to the sports thing yet. But there's no point in getting to the sports thing when we can't even agree what words mean. So that's why I'm doing this.
He's a man and I'm a woman.
He's so happy with what he's just it's a gotcha right there. You can see on his face he's just like, oh, I gotcha. It's not literally. See, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. If we can't agree, on. Hi, hey. Thanks for joining, and I appreciate the kind words.
You've misgendered me. You've misgendered me.
How? Look at the smile.
He's a man and I'm.
Oh, he got me. That little smile. Oh, he got fucking idiot.
A cis man.
I didn't call you a cis. And this is, you know, I didn't call him a cis man. So what the fuck's he talking about? Man, I haven't addressed you as a cis man at all.
I think he's just joking.
I'm just joking.
Oh, I'm just joking. I didn't just make a really smart point that I thought was really, really smart, and I got you. But okay. No, I was just joking. Whatever. Jeez. Well, again, here we've got sexual violence perpetrated by cis men, because you were asking who are the people who are perpetrating this violence, right? So in this case, it is cisgender men. Against girls and women occurs at epidemic rates. So yes, violence against
girls and women. So what about trans women?
Okay, so here it says the most severe of this violence is directed at trans girls and women. So trans women and trans girls suffer more than cisgendered women and girls at the hands of cisgender men.
So you think then, based off what you've read there, that you're perfectly fine with trans women, aka men, going into female changing rooms?
Yes. So it's just like it's like I don't even know what to say to that, because he's nothing he says makes any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Got reasons for that, but also
why?
Because they're not a danger to anyone. The people who are a danger to people are cis men. And in
There's
fact,
been many
it also, if you go
cases
on, hold on, just one second. If you go on further in this one, I'm pretty sure it says, in 8 out of 10 cases of rape, the victim knows the person who sexually assaulted them. Of the people who sexually abuse children, 35% are family members, and 96% are cis men. So the dangers to women and girls are people who know them and cis men. Nothing to do with trans people.
That's not true.
Well,
that's true. That's what this particular study says.
So because one thing says that's true, it's true.
I mean, I could find other studies that say this as well. I mean, I've presented scientific studies, and you're just saying, nah.
That's just not true, because there's countless examples of women being assaulted in bathrooms by trans women, aka men.
I don't care about countless examples. I care about statistics. I care about statistics. And so this is another issue that I had, is they don't have any evidence. They have single, probably, sensationalized media articles talking about how, lies, talking about, single instances of people, or maybe trans people assaulting, and they don't actually bring up any examples. They just say that there are countless times that, I don't care about that stuff. I care about the statistics, because they tell me about reality. Single sensationalist articles from End Wokeness or fucking the Post-Millennial, whose MO is demonizing trans people, probably from fucking libs of TikTok, that stuff is nonsense. It's bullshit nonsense, curated to further transphobic bullshit. But if we look at reality, if we look at science, if we look at the statistics, we can see that the biggest threat to women is cisgender men that they know. And I'm pretty sure I go to another website and find a very similar statistic.
Statistics can be manipulated to your own gain, though.
So you're saying that
it depends on who you're asking.
It depends.
So
you're just saying, depends on the context of something.
Well, can you?
Okay,
I will send you this, and you can assess it yourself, and you can tell me what the methodological problems with this particular study are.
Okay, but hold on.
But let me just ask you a question.
Yeah.
How do you think it makes a woman feel? Okay, that you're saying that you would allow men, into female bathrooms. It doesn't.
He's just short-circuiting here. Like, he's just repeating transphobic talking points, because he's got no way of actually engaging with these facts. He just falls back on repeating these yeah, go ahead. You can link whatever you like in the chat, as far as I understand. Yeah, he's got no way of engaging with these facts, because he's an idiot. Sorry, but he is.
It doesn't matter if they're a trans woman, if they claim to be a trans woman, okay? Fundamentally, they're a man and they have a penis, okay? How do you think that makes women feel?
Let me see.
No, but we're asking you.
I'm asking you how you feel about it. I'm not asking about.
It doesn't matter what I feel. It matters what women feel, right? I mean,
women don't want it.
I'm asking you.
According to this, women young, more open to transgender issues.
You just said it a minute ago, but you're completely fine with trans women, aka men, going into female changing rooms. So how do you think?
Okay, let me put it this way.
Women feel.
Okay, so this also gets to one of the frustrations they had with me and with the debate in general, was that they wanted me to share my opinions, I suppose. Because this kind of reveals how their ideology works. It's completely based on their own feelings and opinions. They want me to do the same thing. What's my visceral response to a man being in a woman's changing room, right? That's what they want me to engage with. But that's not how a reasonable person thinks or comes to conclusions. I have based my opinions about this sort of stuff on science. And science tells us that trans women are not a threat to cis women in bathrooms. And that means that their belief here is completely illogical, completely irrational. But yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I don't know how women feel. I mean, I'm looking at this, I'm looking at a Reuters article here that says that young women are more open to trans issues. So according to that, women are okay with it. But
that's bullshit.
I'm not. Why?
That's bollocks.
Every single woman I know, including myself,
that's utter,
do not want it.
Bollocks.
So do you think? Hold on. Do you? So this is very funny to me because I present this article that says that young women, young cis women are more open to trans people. I was going to say the trans issue, but more open to trans people than whoever else. I can't remember exactly. And Josh's response is that's bullshit. That's just wrong. Because he's not basing his beliefs on any kind of evidence. He's basing it on his own personal feelings and biases and bigotry, basically. And then Artemis goes to say that every woman that she knows is not okay with trans people in bathrooms. And they go to say something like, oh, it's like 100 women that I know. And people say that, so, yeah, obviously, if you associate with a lot of transphobes, you're going to be surrounded by a lot of transphobes. That's why you need to look at these statistics because it gets rid of those weird biases that you've kind of insulated yourself within. I think that your personal experience and anecdote... No, because you're just going on your own personal experience and anecdotes. That's...
No, but I'm a woman.
Have you never heard... Yeah, I know, but that doesn't reflect...
I'm a woman and I don't want it.
Okay, that's fine, but that doesn't reflect the majority of women.
It's not the majority.
Well, according to this, it is. According to this,
it's not the majority.
I mean, if you this is what I'm saying. We need to look at statistics and not your own personal experience. This is why I don't care. I say we need to look at statistics, and Josh says no, we don't. About sensational. Hold on. This is why I don't. This is why I don't care about sensationalist articles, because a lot of the time it's just like, look at this single incident of a thing happening. So what? What I want to see is that if you look at
you're completely ignoring the lived experience of women.
So Josh says this, and then I think he goes on to call me a misogynist, which is funny. But his idea of the lived experience of women is the single woman that is sitting beside him. He's saying, they continue to kind of harp on this point. They're like, this is the lived experience of Artemis, and that should be irrelevant, not irrelevant, sorry. It should be, a reason why trans people are dangerous to cis women. I'm completely ignoring her experience, therefore I'm bad. But when you look to reality, this is funny because when they say they right at the beginning of this, he was saying that if we polled the entire Earth, we'd be able to see that the opinion is that people were able to notice who's trans and who's not. So they're okay using statistics in that sense, but not in this sense apparently. If we want to know the lived experience of a group of people, we're talking about how cis women feel about trans people. Looking at Artemis's experience does not reflect the majority or the experiences of an entire group of people. It could do, but the way that we find that out is we need to poll those people poll a bunch of women and be like, hey, how do you feel about trans people? You need to have also the questions crafted in a certain way which, you know, tries to remove certain biases. Because like if they, this is why I needed to do the thing about, you know, defining what trans means and all that sort of stuff. Because if they ask the question, should men be allowed in bathrooms with women, there would probably be a very negative response to that. But if they were to ask the question, this is what I'm talking about here is the framing of polling questions. If you go ahead and frame the questions in a way that kind of removes that weird bias, you're going to get a more honest understanding of people's beliefs. And according to this article, the majority of young women are okay with trans people. But these guys don't accept that for some reason. No, I'm not. I'm including their lived experience in women because they're all in this particular one saying that they're okay with trans people. But hold on, let me get back to what my personal opinion about it. Okay, so let me put, this is how I've always thought of it. If it, excuse me, if a space is advertised as inclusive. That's exactly right. Fishman cheese. Of trans people, right? Say that that's kind of interesting as well, is because like they think that facts over feelings thing is important. You know, they subscribe to, you know, facts are more important than feelings, but they don't actually understand what that means. They're just embodying that buzz phrase repeated from Ben Shapiro, but their actual actions and the way that they operate is completely antithetical to that. And it's kind of funny because that's how they operate throughout this debate. Is they have these buzz phrases that they don't understand, and they just repeat them. And they say this stuff, they say facts over feelings or whatever, but then their actual actions, the way that they behave in this and the way that they are, you know, believing things is completely feelings-based, is completely based on their own feelings and their own bigotries and their own biases, and, you know, rejecting of any kind of facts. It's funny. That we changed bathroom laws, or changed bathrooms, or there was a bunch of bathrooms that were changed to be gender neutral, and that anyone could go into them whether they were, or maybe it was just that it was only cis women and trans women that were allowed in this bathroom. When you approach that space and you enter into that space knowing that those are the kinds of bodies you are going to see in that space, are you not consenting to being in that space with those bodies?
Not if you really have to pee. Like if I could hold it, I wouldn't even go.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't put myself in that situation. If I had my daughters with me, then I would drive somewhere else to use the washroom and hope to God that they don't pee themselves.
I feel sorry for her daughters, because that is the definition of bigotry. Like, she won't use a gender inclusive bathroom because she believes that a trans person might assault her, despite the reality that is not a statistical probability. And then she is talk about indoctrinating of children. She's you know, passing on that bigotry to her daughters by behaving in this way. Hey, Mum, why aren't we going into that bathroom? Oh, because, you know, I don't know if she'd say, oh, because a trans person might assault us. But, you know, she's literally teaching her kids that trans people are bad. It's fucked up. It's really fucked up.
Because I wouldn't put them in that situation. It's already scary enough even just going in a public washroom. If, let's say, you're at the mall or something, because you don't like this. It's not like there's security outside, so you're kind of already taking a risk by going in there, even if it says women. Like, and
but I've already told you that it's not a risk. The only risk is cisgender men that you know.
You know how many women get assaulted in washrooms or public spaces
by
in
cisgender men? So again, they kind of just say this stuff. I mean, like, I don't know how many
women are. In fact, let's look it up. It'll probably come up with stuff to do with trans people. But let me just see. Rates of assault in public bathrooms. No, so I don't want the one about trans people. Sexual assault cases. Let's have a look at that. No. What's this? Public health. Yeah, so, I mean, transgender teens with restricted bathroom access are at higher risk of sexual assault. So, you know, having these restrictive policies is bad for trans people. What's this? Archival review of sexual assault complaints. So this is from 2017. In places of public accommodation overview. Recently, there's been a considerable national level discussion of the protection of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people from facing discrimination in employment, housing, and places of public accommodation. Survey findings. We did not find evidence of sexual assaults taking place in which men, under the guise of being women or transgender, entered women's bathrooms to commit a sexual assault or otherwise victimize women. Our overall findings are consistent with the research literature on sexual assault that indicates that the victims of sexual assault are primarily female, over 90%, and that 8 out of 10 cases, the assault is not perpetrated by a stranger, but rather by a person who knows the victim as an acquaintance or an intimate partner. So this particular police foundation, this is to do with the research brief reports on a review of official police reports of sexual assault in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, Dallas, Texas, Miami Beach, Miami Gardens, Florida, and Tucson, Arizona. Okay, so it's a review of 4 different states, and the police reports from those particular states. And the findings are there is no evidence of sexual assaults taking place with men dressing up as women and going into a bathroom to commit a sexual assault. It does not happen, at least in these 4 states. And that is consistent with the overall research that 8 out of 10 women are sexually assaulted by cisgender men who know them. So Artemis is just making shit up. Like, she's got no. This is the thing. I mean, I'm going a little, kind of going hard on this here, but she just says things with no evidence to back up. And I think I get to this as well. I'm like, when you assert something without evidence, then it can be dismissed without evidence. Classic Christopher Hitchens. Physical assault too. If memory serves me right, there was one female to male teen who they got beat up because the school didn't allow him to go into the boys, and they thought he was a trans woman. Yeah, exactly. So you get the, and I mean that's one of some of these other studies that I was finding is that these restrictive policies reinforce these transphobic bigotries within people, and and kind of bolster their hatred towards trans people, and result in people getting assaulted, trans people getting assaulted. So anyway, so Artemis is just talking out of her ass.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. That's why I'm saying, because there's a difference between
cisgender get assaulted in washrooms or public spaces
by
in
cisgender men.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. That's why I'm saying, because there's a difference between
cisgender and trans women are. So you're telling me, right, that trans women can't harm women? No, I'm not saying that. Oh my God, that's not what I said.
And they do in prison.
Statistically, they're so dumb. But they see, this is why we need to listen to statistics, because statistically, trans women are more likely to be the victims of those assaults than they are to be perpetrating them. Cis men are the ones. Cis men who know the victims. Those are the ones where the who are the most likely to do those things. And this means
fit like the narrative at the minute.
I'm not compiling stats to do anything. I'm just saying that that's what the statistics.
You've got a whole list of them there on your computer.
Yeah. How dare you bring statistics to a feelings fight?
Oh, he's so upset that I've got actual facts. Okay, so what's wrong there? See, the thing is, like, if we go on just personal experience, because, I mean, we're talking about your guys' personal experience and how you are not so cool with going into a bathroom with a trans person. You'd go off and you'd drive to a new place. Okay, that's great. How does that help us at all? Because I don't care. I've never been into a bathroom space. I always go into a cubicle. I never go around and look at other people's genitals. And yes, granted that I am cis male presenting, and I'm in male's bathrooms, so that's a part of that experience that obviously is different from yours. But this is all irrelevant to what the actual statistics say. If we're talking about, if we're talking about the danger to women and children, you're saying, I personally feel unsafe. Therefore, everyone else should feel unsafe. But that's okay. So why should your experience be the thing that dictates what everyone else does?
It's not. It's the majority of women who don't feel.
No, but you're saying the majority, but you're not giving me anything besides your own personal experience. You're just saying.
Well, I could list to you every single person I know every single person I interact with online.
So that's like 100 people. These are statistics. These are statistics based on thousands of people.
I'd like to know who was referenced, like who did the statistics. Was it trans women?
I will show you.
Because of course they would be fine with it. Like, to me, I think that's just bullshit. Like, and I don't believe that whatsoever. Of course, you do have some women who are fine with it. Like, I don't disagree with that. It's not every single woman on this planet says, yeah, trans women are allowed in the bathroom. That's not happening. Majority of women, if you ask around this planet, will completely.
But you've got no evidence for that. You've got zero evidence. You've got your own experience.
I didn't have it ready pulled up. We were going to talk about sports here.
So this is where they get upset because I actually prepared for this debate and they didn't. Like I don't know what to do with that. If you're going to make assertions about the majority, like her assertion is that the majority of women are not okay with trans people. That they would be terrified to go into a bathroom with a trans person. She's got no evidence for that. She's just pulling that out of her ass. There's no evidence, and it completely is completely contradicted by actual evidence. And also, if we're thinking about how women feel versus what the actual reality is, because the statistics that I'm bringing up are talking about the actual risks to women. Excuse me. The actual risk to women, according to sexual assault statistics, are cisgender men who they know. That is the biggest threat to women and children. And to transgender women. Or transgender, I wasn't sure if it was transgender women or transgender people. Could be both. No, probably not both. I lie. That's talking about the actual risk. If we want to see the opinions of women, and even if 100% of women were like, we aren't okay with trans people in bathrooms because we're scared, they're wrong. They're wrong. That is not an opinion based on reality. But I understand the need to, I understand, wanting to look at the experiences of women. But the only thing that I would get from a poll that says, women, the majority, if there was a poll out there, if Artemis here presented me with a poll that said, the majority of cisgender women are afraid of trans people, the only thing that I would get from that is the fact that they're misinformed and that we need to do a better job of presenting the actual evidence to the public. Because according to at least 2 or 3 studies that I've seen now and a bunch of other stuff, hey, Groovy Will, good to have you here. According to these statistics, and these statistics may be wrong, these guys seem to think that they're wrong, but if they, according to these at least, and I was the only one bringing up statistics, so that's all we had to go by. But according to these statistics, the biggest threat to women and children, cisgender men who they know. That's yeah. I know.
We're talking
but,
about
like,
the bathroom.
no, I know, but we have to again we have to agree. We have to agree on these things, right?
Like, you don't know what that feels like.
This the thing.
But that's your own personal experience versus.
As a woman.
Look, Aslan, you are a man. You're like me. Okay.
What's that got to do with anything? They're a man. That's irrelevant. I think the way that he says "man" is very funny. You're a man, Aslan. You're a man.
It's very relevant. Have you ever walked in a parking garage or out at night and held your keys in your hand because you didn't know if you were going to bump into anybody because you are a woman at night? Because guess what? I've done that many, many times.
What does this have to do? What does this have to do? That's fine, but the thing that she should be scared of is men. And that's not what... You're a man! Yeah. Yeah, we kind of did that at the beginning. Person unnamed. They claim that you can always tell the difference. What does this have to do with the actual? I know, but
these
again,
are things that women experience.
Yes, I know that. No, but what women actually experience is assault. No. What?
It's just misogynist.
You're. See, there we go. So there we go. He's calling me a misogynist now because I am not accepting Artemis's personal experience over statistics. It's not just throw around labels. We said that we weren't going to do that.
But that's true. You don't know.
No, because you're not
You're telling a woman how to feel.
No, I'm not telling her how to feel. I'm telling her what statistics are. I'm telling her.
Who cares about
and I'm telling. What do you mean? Who cares about statistics?
Because look. I'm
sorry. If we're going to be talking about societal change and the way that things affect people on a population, I mean, you're scoffing at science. This is what you're scoffing at. Why are you scoffing at the scientific method? What?
It's literally it's as simple as this, right? A trans woman is a man.
It's just like he's got no way this. This is why I keep saying that they're stupid. Is because they've got no way of engaging with any of this. Like, I'm presenting actual statistics and science and, actual facts. And because they don't understand any of this stuff, they don't understand the words that they're saying or the points that they're making or the buzz phrases they keep repeating, all they have are just the words. They don't actually understand what they mean. So that means that they can't engage in a reasonable discussion about this stuff because they don't actually understand what they're saying. All they have is just repeating these buzz phrases. Trans women are men. They're men. I'm sorry, a trans woman are men. It's if a person digs up your bones in 1,000 years, then it'll still know that they're a man. It's a fundamental man. Sorry, that's just true.
Not okay.
How do you explain those statistics then?
I don't care about the statistics.
So now he just dismisses them out of hand for no reason. Well, the only reason is because they contradict his bigotries.
I know.
Then you don't care about reality.
Oh my god.
That's silly. Come on.
No, it's not. Are you saying that you don't? Explain to me why statistics aren't useful.
Because you genuinely believe that a woman can have a dick.
So he's just... I mean, that just proves my point. I've asked a very specific question about the usefulness of statistics, and he can't engage with that because he's an idiot, and he just defaults to, oh, you think that women can have a dick. It's embarrassing if I'm completely honest.
So how is that?
How is that relevant to the assault?
Because that's not living in reality.
No. Hold on. No, because we're not talking about that at the moment. What we're talking about is the rate at which women are assaulted. No, we're not. We're talking about the rate with which women are assaulted, right? We're talking about bathrooms and the risk that is posed to women in those spaces. Is that not what we're talking about right now? What's that got to do with penises?
Because trans women are men.
See, it just keeps happening. There's no. It's like that. There's nothing going on behind his eyes. Every single response that he has is trans woman a man, trans woman a man, trans woman a man. I have a dick. It's embarrassing. That's not an answer.
It is.
No, it's not.
It is. So those statistics are ultimately flawed.
Why?
Because they're not women.
I mean,
They're
you're just asserting something without any evidence. Have you ever heard?
No, there's
Have you ever heard
evidence.
the phrase? No. Have you ever heard the phrase that which was conservative NPC? Exactly. His fucking dialogue tree has reached its end. Which is asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. I've provided evidence.
You're overcomplicating something which is just
Reality is complicated. Reality is complicated.
It's really not complicated.
Yes,
Look,
it is. I'm sorry, it is. You know, when you
really
go to
not.
school and you learn, I mean, I saw this in your debate with Taylor. You were talking about how you learned in school that men and women are two different things. You know, when they teach you that stuff in school, just like when they teach you anything in school, when they teach you maths, when they teach you science, they teach you basic stuff so that you can understand it because your brain is still developing. When you get out of school and you learn more and you understand reality more, you see that these things aren't as simple as these simple constructs that have been given to you as a child. We need to move on from those and learn and read and absorb more, and that's what I'm trying to give you guys, because I've compiled a bunch of different studies. I mean, I'm trying to summarize them here on the air, which is difficult. They're like, ugh, why? I don't want to read things. Reading, better look at the comments. But I can send you, I've got a whole bunch of studies here to do with these different things. They're not even to do specifically with transgender people. We were doing to do with, like I say, the assaults against women. I want to see this. The statistics won't reflect a new phenomenon that's only recently started happening. It's bound to show more straight assaults because it's more common. Of course it is. He won't admit it's happening. Don't understand what that even means.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just throwing them away as if, I mean, you said you don't care about statistics. I mean, that's a bizarre thing for me to hear. Why?
Because
It depends on
it depends on the article, it depends on the references, it depends on the statistics.
Okay,
And
well, let me
who
go to, there's
participated
the
as well.
sexual assault.
they're very.
It's a very broad term. Look,
It is.
here's a comment which better explains what I'm trying to say. So the statistics won't reflect a new phenomenon because that's only recently started. It's bound to show more straight assaults because it's more common. Of course it is. He won't admit it's happening.
See, he even just reads out a comment, and I mean, to be fair, it's a pretty fucking weird comment. I don't understand what he's saying, but he seems to think that this proves his point, but he doesn't even understand what it means.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so here we go. So this is the RAIN, which is the I can't remember what that stands for. It's a sexual violence center where they compile a lot of statistics and they do actual work in the field and help people who are victims of sexual violence and that sort of stuff. I've used RAIN before, like to talk about this sort of stuff. Well, when I was arguing a lot with anti-feminists, to be honest, like back in the. I mean, so this is one of the comments that they bring up here. One assault on a female by a male in a female space is enough to legislate against it. No statistics needed. Well, first of all, I've already shown that it doesn't happen because it doesn't. But this is why we need to agree on words, because a male... Because see, here they're conflating trans women and men. So that means that when a cis man assaults a woman, they hold that against transgender women as well, and that's stupid. So it doesn't, this is why we need to separate the two out, because they're not the same. They aren't the same thing, but they think that they are. And when a cis man assaults a woman, they are like, well, that's the fault of trans women as well. That's ridiculous. That's an absolutely insane, ridiculous thing to... And then they want to legislate against that. So they will look at cis men assaulting women. They will say that's the fault of trans women, and we should ban trans women from being in bathrooms because of this one example of a cis man assaulting women. That's so stupid and bigoted and dumb. Day when I was younger, I used to argue with people like Sargon of Akkad and Bering and those guys who were saying that feminism is cancer and that it needs to go and all that sort of stuff. And so these are, I would come to this website quite often for finding these kinds of statistics. So this one here says 1 out of every 6 American women has been the victim of attempted or complete rape in her. So this is when I start to try to get them to agree with the use of the statistics that I'm talking about. Because before this, they've said the statistics are a bunk, or they don't want to agree, or they don't agree with them, or they're stupid, or why should I care about statistics? So I've brought them to a reputable sexual assault website. I want to. What does RAIN stand for? I forget what it is. It's RAINN. The nation's largest anti-sexual violence organization. What does it stand for? Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network. So it's an American non-profit anti-sexual assault organization, the largest in the United States. So it's a pretty good source to be going to look for sexual assault statistics. Also, straight assaults aren't even relevant because statistics are about trans people being victims, not cis people being perpetrators, right? I think so. Not cis people. Yeah, I mean, you need to look at the different statistics. I mean, the thing that I was reading was a paragraph that was making assertions based on those statistics. I mean, you could look at the actual statistical tables, or the tables that compile all the actual stats, and go, okay, who's being a victim and who's a perpetrator and those kinds of things. But the paragraph that I read said that trans women have a 1 in 2 chance of being assaulted in their lifetime, and that cis women have a 1 in 4 chance of being assaulted in their lifetime, that 94% of perpetrators are cisgender men, and 8 out of 10 of those know the victim. Those were the takeaways from that, from what I said. Lifetime. Oh, and so I've taken them to the RAIN, which is the Rape, Abuse, Incest, and National Network, big old sexual assault organization, anti-sexual assault organization, I'd say, to try and get them to agree with some statistics. And so I'm presenting this to them to see if they will be like, okay, that makes sense to me, because obviously Artemis here agrees that women are the victims of too much sexual assault. She obviously thinks that. But the problem is that she in her brain conflates trans women and cisgender men. Okay. Do we agree with that statistic?
Wait, say it again.
1 out of every 6 women has been the victim of an attempted or complete rape in her lifetime.
I actually see here 1 in 3.
Okay. I mean, that's even worse. Right?
It is worse.
Yeah, and so... Yeah, so bookmark that. At that point, we agree that women are sexually assaulted or raped at a very high rate in their lifetime. Okay. Okay, so that's the experience. Here it says transgender students are at a higher risk of sexual violence. I want to find the bit that says like the perpetrators of violence. Scope of the problem, perpetrators of sexual violence. Here we go. So this is the bit that I was talking about to do with the people who are most likely to commit sexual violence against someone. According to this, 19% are committed by a stranger, while the other 8 out of 10, which is what I was saying, are completed by an acquaintance, a former or current spouse, committed by a person that cannot be remembered, that's 6%, or committed by a non-spouse relative. So you've got 2 out of 10. When you're looking at the 1 out of 6 statistic that you agreed, you said it was actually 1 in 3. So 1 in 3 women experience this,
And statistically, you've got a 2 out of 10 chance of that being a random stranger, but you've got an 8 out of 10 chance of that being someone that you know. How does that map onto being assaulted in a bathroom? I get that it happens, but that's not what the statistics. The statistical.
But honestly, it only takes one.
Who gives a shit? It takes one case. It takes one case.
Yeah, but we're talking here about thousands and thousands. I mean, one in 3 women. If we're talking about the United States, 1 in 3 women. That's 100. That's like 1 million women. 20 million women who were assaulted in their lifetime. And you're trying to say that the biggest problem, the thing that is causing that, is transgender people.
That's not what I've said.
Nonsense.
That's
absolute nonsense. Well, you're saying that it's a risk in the bathroom. That's something that we should be.
But of course it's a risk, but that doesn't mean it's like the biggest risk. But it's a risk.
It is not a risk.
Of course it's a risk.
And
of course it's a risk. Come on.
We're talking about. No, because this is why you need to. I mean, because we're talking about societal change here. We're not talking about individual cases. We're talking about how we can mitigate this harm. Because
then make a separate bathroom for trans people. There you go.
Why? Because trans people aren't the problem.
Women don't want them there. That's it.
Trans people aren't the problem.
That's it. And
yes, because you have zero evidence for that. That is based on your own personal
yes, we
opinion.
do. And
no. I mean, like I said, I've got this thing here.
In prisons, change rooms, bathrooms. There's people who
they keep flipping back and forward between. Okay, it's not the biggest risk, but yes, it's the biggest risk. Like, there's no consistency in their belief, and there's no evidence to back up their beliefs. Like, it's bizarre to me that they want, like, it's all well and good to say maybe this is a discussion that we need to have, but they have based their whole, like, if you look at their Twitter feeds and things like that, they're always retweeting and things about how transgender people are a danger. And it's feeding into a larger panic about trans people, which is disproportionate to the actual threats. Because when you ask, so if you ask the question, you know, can trans people commit sexual violence? Of course, they're human, just like anyone else. But statistically, you are far more likely as a woman to be assaulted by a cisgender man who you know. But I don't see these guys on their Twitter or in these debates, or bringing people onto their channel to talk about the danger of cisgender men who acquaintances. What they are talking about is how dangerous trans people are, which is a disproportionate response to reality, and is also feeding into a larger problem where you have this trans panic, which is causing real world harm to the trans community, which is a minoritized community. So, that's a lot of words to say. Their anger is misplaced, or their fear is misplaced.
Pretend to be trans just so that way they can enter. That's not every.
Oh yeah, here. So she says that people can pretend to be trans just so that they can enter. I mean, according to this, there is no evidence that happens. Zero evidence. So again, Artemis is just lying. She's basing this fear and this fear mongering on her own big. I disconnected my microphone, sorry. She's basing this on her own bigotries and fear of trans people for no reason. And on the fear-mongering that she has bought into, rather than the actual reality,
which is that there is no evidence that men, under the guise of being women or transgender, enter women's bathrooms to commit sexual assault or otherwise victimize women. Zero evidence. At least in these 4 states. There's probably other studies that show the same thing. So she's just lying, or stupid, or both.
Every trans person.
What about
but
this?
There are trans people who identify as women just to be able to go into women's private spaces women's sports.
How many? What is the statistic?
Around the world? There's cases around the world happening.
No, I'm not talking about. Yeah, no. But if we talk, I've shown you statistics that say
why
that
do you lean so heavily on statistics? Doesn't
because
it only
they tell us
case?
they tell us how things operate in reality.
It only takes one case for a woman to be paranoid.
Look,
That it's so dumb. Sorry, but that's just very, very, very dumb. Like, I mean, if you apply this to anything else, if you apply this to anything else, you would never do anything. Like, if you said it only takes one case for people to be terrified that you were gonna drive your car off a bridge. You know, I mean, people have driven their cars off bridges before, or people have smashed into other cars on highways, or people have flipped their cars on highways, or people have, backed out of their driveway and driven over a dog or a child or something like that. You know, that stuff happens, but it's very rare. So we continue to do the thing that we're doing, and we mitigate against actual problems, like, legislating for seatbelts in cars. A whole bunch of nonsense. It's gonna be on my channel, so you can watch it again later. Hey, so yeah, just go ahead and watch it on my channel. I don't know what VOD means. Video of destruction. My point is that this is why statistics are important, because statistically we know that getting in your car and driving off a bridge today on accident is not going to happen. So we don't need to worry about that. And we also don't legislate against, I don't know, put in I mean, I suppose we have barriers on the sides of bridges. I don't know, but you get my point, right? There are real present risks to driving. Oh yeah. So VOD, so it'll just be on my channel. You can go to my channel. You can subscribe, and it'll just be there. I think there's a playlist called Debates, and you'll be able to see it on there. I'm actually going to end soon anyway, because I've been doing this for nearly 2 hours, so that's fun. But this is okay. So this is the reason why statistics are important, because it gives us a in our day-to-day interactions with the world, and then also because in the way that we legislate things, because we are talking about two different things here. One thing we're talking about is the present danger to yourself, and when you go to do a thing, what the actual risk of a thing happening. So Artemis has said that she would not go into a bathroom if she knew that there was going to be a trans person in there. That is based on her belief that trans people are a risk, are a sexual violence risk to her. So she mitigates and changes her behavior based on that. If she based her beliefs on reality rather than weird bigotries, she would know that that is not actually a risk to her. So she wouldn't, she wouldn't do that behavior anymore. If we blow that up to reality, if we take that to society, I mean, if we're talking about society and trying to reduce harm to people on a population, if what we're trying to do is, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to reduce the sexual the rate of sexual violence to women, to cisgender women and to trans women. We want to reduce the risk of sexual assaults. We're not going to just be like, okay, get trans women out of bathrooms, because that is not a serious danger to women. based on the statistics that we have, maybe 1 or 2 times it's happened, but 1 or 2 times is not enough to present an actual danger to women, and is not enough to, if you were to make legislation, that would reduce the number of sexual violence happening to these people. To actually reduce the number of to the rate of sexual violence to women and trans women, you'd have to do something about cis men that they know, to do with domestic violence and those kinds of things. There are actual things of legislation that could be passed to reduce these rates of sexual violence, and that does not include stopping trans women from going into women's bathrooms. It just doesn't, because that's not what the risk is. And that is why statistics are important.
You're trying to argue with a woman here.
No,
right?
because I'm trying to tell you, because you're talking about changing. We're talking about changing society in a certain way to mitigate certain harm. No, because you're saying that we need to. We're saying that we need to change the spaces so that.
Accommodate for trans people. Why not have a separate washroom?
Okay,
then?
So if we're going to do
that should make trans people feel happy about that.
Yeah, but if we're going to do that, we need to look at societal trends. We need to look at the way that things. And the way that we do that is by looking at statistics. Do you not understand that? How can you keep dismissing statistics?
Statistics can be skewed. They're subjective.
They keep coming back to the statistics can be skewed thing because that's what someone said in their comments. Again, they don't understand what that means. They just have read that in their comments and they're going, statistics going to be skewed. What does that mean?
It also based on
we agreed on these statistics.
They are in the world that they're taking these statistics from.
But you agreed with me on these.
Into statistics.
Okay, so that just shows that she doesn't actually know what she's saying when the statistics can be skewed, because we did agree that on these sexual violence statistics, but now she's
completely irrelevant. But they're based on a certain geography.
You have given me no statistics. You have given me zero.
To me, it's irrelevant.
No, you have given me zero statistic. What is the statistic? What is the rate at which women are assaulted by trans people in bathrooms?
Well, I don't know.
Exactly.
It's happened many times.
92% of the people that assault women are cisgender men.
So
okay,
what?
No, but even if it's
if it's a
trans woman, that's a man.
Super majority.
It's a man.
See, and here we just get back to transgender, trans woman, a man. The man.
Woman is a man. So
no, they're not. No, because like I said, because like I said, they have dicks. Trans women are the subject of those assaults as well. They are included in that whole thing. Hey, what about this? Women get harassed in bathrooms because of anti-transgender hysteria. So cis women are also suffering because of this So here you go. This is real world reason why actually focusing on and creating this hysteria towards trans people is also harmful to cis women. So if they actually cared about protecting cis women, they would not be engaging in this trans panic. Trans hysteria. So it's not just you're not living in a vacuum when you spread this anti-trans hysteria. It is hysteria. It definitely is.
Not hysteria.
But you've given me no evidence that it's not hysteria.
I say it isn't. You don't have any proof, but it is hysteria.
I don't have any proof. I have given reams of it. I have given you statistical evidence that it is hysteria.
You haven't given a statistical proof at all.
I've given you multiple statistics on why
So that basically means that all of these cases, right, which have seen women being assaulted by trans women, okay?
They keep saying all these cases, but they haven't provided any evidence that these things actually happen.
Men, right? I'll give you one.
How many?
One great example here.
How many? I don't want single examples. That's irrelevant to how things work.
Aslan. It's our show.
I know, but it's irrelevant to how things work. I'm going to tell you this.
It's our show.
You can tell me, but it's irrelevant.
Okay, so there's a famous case here. Okay, a guy called Nicholas Cepeda, right, who identifies as a teenage girl. He's a 50-year-old man.
What's that got to do with trans people?
Because he identifies as a 13-year-old girl.
So this is dumb as well, and just shows that they have no idea what being trans is. They're conflating age and gender. I don't know what a 50-year-old identifying as a 14-year-old is or means, but that shows a lack of understanding of what gender is or how gender operates and how that is different from age. But that's not transgender. That's
Yes,
some
it is.
other thing.
Because he's a man.
So he's
What do
a
you mean?
man. He is a man, and
He's
he's
a man.
choosing to identify as a 13-year-old girl.
Yeah,
Of
but
course
that's
he's trans.
how are age and gender the same? How
Because
does that?
he's a man. Like, what do you
This
mean?
is
He's
crazy.
a man.
So like they don't they're just repeating buzz phrases that they don't have any understanding of what the words actually mean. And so when those things are opposed or critiqued by me, they have no response other than oh, this is crazy.
And
is crazy.
who identifies as a girl. What do you mean? And he goes and swims and changes with them, and he still has his penis intact and will change in change rooms with them. That is not acceptable.
He is literally breaking the law
Okay,
by.
So he's
No, hang on. He has literally broken the law by exposing his genitalia to these kids. Some of them as young as 8 years old. Okay, this is the problem when you allow men into women's bathrooms.
So that's just dumb. I mean, and that's why having single examples is completely irrelevant. You've got this guy who's like I have known nothing about this except what they've told me, and it's probably a bunch of lies based on a bunch of lies, because that's what they do. They don't actually understand things, and they just repeat lies based on their own bigotry. But if I take them at face value, which is that this guy, a 50-year-old guy who identifies as a 14-year-old girl, goes into places and gets his dick out, I mean, that's against the law. So why is he not in jail or something? I mean, that's just like being a pedophile, right? So I mean, but what has that got to do with being trans? That's what I keep saying. And they're like, "Oh, because he identifies as trans, because he's trans." So that, yeah, and then I go on to say, "Well, so what's that got to do with the trans community? And why should we be legislating against the trans community?" Oh, it's because this person is trans. it's so
into
stupid.
women's changing rooms. They literally break the fucking law. Okay?
But hold on,
And
if
they're
there's a
putting
law
children
already
at
to
risk.
stop it, then
They're
why?
making children feel uncomfortable. They're making parents feel uncomfortable. They're making women feel uncomfortable. And it's
So see, here's his language here. He's gone from this specific guy to they. So he's given me an example of this guy who apparently identifies as a 14-year-old girl and is flashing his dick at children, and then he's turned that into they, as in trans people. That's so dumb.
simple as that. I don't care about your statistics. I don't
care about your statistics because I've got this one example of this one guy who does this thing which is illegal, and he should probably be in jail because he's doing an illegal thing. And I've then gone and turned that into that's why trans people are bad. Okay.
Because it takes one case for this to show that it's wrong.
If that were the standard, then we should be banning cisgender men from any public spaces at all, because there would be examples, singular examples of cis men doing all the worst, horriblest things in all these different places, and the way to get rid of that, based on those single examples, is to ban cis men from all those spaces. Sorry, Josh, you're not allowed to be in any spaces anymore. And I'm sorry, I misgendered you because you don't identify as a cis man. You're trans, apparently. Okay, cool. But you see how that is dumb? If you're only basing your reaction to the stuff on these single instances, and then generalizing that to a population, then you're going to be ending up with all sorts of nonsense. But the reason they do this is because they don't actually have statistics or reality or science or anything behind them. So they have to rely on single examples because they don't have any actual evidence. They have to rely on these singular examples and then generalize them to populations. That's the reason. Do you think that anyone has ever had sex with a dog?
What?
What's that got to
So this is me trying to do the thing that I just said. Like I was trying to give an example of why, a single instance of a thing should not be generalized to a population. So this is why I bring up the sex with the dog thing. I don't think I executed this very well, and I think I move on for it pretty quickly because I don't think I executed this very well, and I didn't get my point across. Imagine that's happened, right? Someone's probably had sex with a dog. They've probably broken into someone's house and had sex with their dog. You could agree that that's probably happened, right? It's funny to me that they are like, what does this have to do with anything? They literally do this all the time. They literally just bring up shit that has nothing to do with anything. But okay, yeah. What does this got to do with anything? I'm trying to give you an analogy here. That's bad and wrong, right?
bad one. Okay, yeah, it's a bad one, but yeah. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so you gave me an example of one thing happening. I'm giving you another example of another thing that probably happened. I mean, maybe in just an extreme example. I could probably find another thing that we both agree is bad and happened once. Should we then make laws outlaw? So this is where I went wrong. Okay, so what I should have said here was a cis man having sex with a dog, because then I could go, okay, should we make laws banning cis men from being around any animals? That would have been what I should have said here. But instead, I kind of got into this thing where I get into a bit of a problem because what I'm saying is, we should ban people having sex with dogs. Well, duh, we already do that, you fucking moron. Yeah. So what I should have said is that cis men having sex with a dog, it's happened, probably. And all it takes is one time, and we should be doing something about it. And the way that we should do something about that is to ban cis men from being around dogs at all. That'll fix the problem. It's the same thing that they're saying. Bring that thing, especially when it's harmful.
Can have sex with dogs, yeah, of course. It should be illegal.
Of
course, it's illegal.
To me, that's irrelevant.
I know. So okay, so it's bad and wrong, and it's illegal, but it still happened. Okay. Yeah, see, I'm getting... Oh, no! What did I just do? Oh, I accidentally started the thing again. Shit. It's kind of a good place to leave it, because I get a little bit embarrassed here. Biological science.
Because, look...
Grow breasts. Does. Why is it that trans women are 1 in 4 times... Do you know your chromosomes are XX? Have you...
Go into a bathroom, even though they have a big swinging...
To LGBT...
As a girl, so he's...
Particular case... because then you're extrapolating that and so it was around here. So basically I made that point badly. That was a bad job, Aslan. Sort it out, do it again proper next time. And you can see I'm kind of struggling to get my point across there because I worded it badly. But you get the idea. Anyway, that's been 2 hours of that. Thank you for listening, those who continued to listen. I appreciate you all for being in the comments there. I'm going to go ahead. There was a couple of things that I liked from that I'm going to go ahead and make a clip. I accidentally pressed, I think is it N? Yeah. So if you accidentally press the N button, I meant to press space to pause it, but if I press N on here, it goes, the VLC player makes it go back to the beginning of the video. So that's what I accidentally did. So apologies, but it was kind of good timing. Anyway, thank you for joining me, friends. Appreciate you. I will do this again because I've still got about 40 minutes of the debate to look at. Be good to continue going through it. So I'll do that again at some point, but I'm going to go and enjoy the nice sunny day here in Wellington. I hope that you also have a good day, and I will see you all very soon. Peace.